Not that Jose Mourinho is particularly bothered, but many are criticising his style of play at Anfield this weekend when he decided that trying to score goals was overrated. Why is there a surprise though? The Portuguese has always been defensive in big games. Let's take a look at 5 of his best defensive masterclasses. Atletico Madrid 0, Chelsea 0. This was Jose Mourinho's 8th Champions League semi-final, and by God it was not pretty. He arrived in Spain with a game plan: frustrate the hell out of Atletico Madrid. When they have Diego Costa up front, that shouldn't be too hard. With Fernando Torres playing as the sole striker against his former and future club, the Blues had a limited attack, but it didn't matter. They had no intention of scoring a goal. They could even afford to put a 41-year-old man between the sticks and keep a clean sheet. Such was their attention to defensive detail. Of course, when the Blues were forced to come out of their shell, they were spanked 3-1 by Atletico 2 weeks later in West London, with Costa, not for the first time, proving to be a real pain in the arse. Porto 0, Deportivo La Coruña 0. It was back when we were only starting to become familiar with Jose Mourinho, a man who'd soon be calling himself the special one. He'd already sprinted the length of the Old Trafford touchline when Porto had knocked out Manchester United in the last 16 of the Champions League, but here he was slightly more cautious, facing a dangerous Deportivo La Coruña side in the semi-finals, who just thumped holders AC Milan 4-0 in the previous round, despite being 4-1 down in the first leg. And so for the first leg of the semi-final, the Portuguese chose to sit back, analyse and keep a clean sheet, keeping the likes of Albert Luque and Walter Pandiani at bay, dangerous players who'd one day go on to score a combined 7 goals in England. 0-0 was the score, and a Derlei penalty in Spain sent them through to the final. Chelsea 0, Inter Milan 1. No, it wasn't a defensive attempt gone wrong. This was Jose Mourinho turning up at Stamford Bridge and winning for the first time as the away boss. The man who'd been sacked with the Blues 2.5 years earlier, despite winning them 7 trophies, boasted a 2-1 lead over Chelsea in this Champions League quarter-final. Carlo Ancelotti's men were on course to hit over 100 league goals though. Surely they could manage one against an Inter Milan defence as old as time. Nope, the Blues were kept at arm's length throughout before Samuel Eto'o struck the killer blow against his future employers with 11 minutes remaining, while Didier Drogba was shown a red card for colliding with Thiago Motta. Liverpool 0, Chelsea 2. Oh, how Liverpool would so dearly have traded this weekend's goalless draw with Mourinho for the 2-0 defeat at Anfield in April 2014. We all know how important that game was. Liverpool were inches from lifting the Premier League title, and then Steven Gerrard performed the perfect imitation of Bambi on ice, allowing Demba Ba to notch. In search of an equaliser, the Reds poured forward at every opportunity, but Mourinho was unrelenting, the likes of Thomas Kallas and Branislav Ivanovic holding firm before Fernando Torres was allowed the freedom of Anfield to scarper the length of the pitch before wisely squaring for Willian. I mean, did he want to become a complete hate figure on Merseyside? For a tap in to finish the job. It brought an end to Liverpool's 11-game winning streak, and Mourinho refused the media's depiction of it as a defensive display, choosing to call it a beautiful victory, and that maybe we should all instead listen to Jamie Redknapp's brilliant football brain. If it's all the same, Jose, I'd rather not. Barcelona 1, Inter Milan 0. The scoreboard might indicate that Barcelona won this game, but there was only one manager celebrating in full time, and it was not Pep Guardiola. Back in April 2010, Barcelona were the most feared team on the planet. They just won the treble the season before and will go on to win the Champions League again the following season. They'd even managed to lure Zlatan Ibrahimovic from the San Siro the previous summer, tossing away Samuel Eto'o in part exchange as if he was a stale yogurt. By contrast, Inter were the ugly, brutish unit and had won the first leg of the Champions League semi-final by a scoreline of 3-1, but were still expected to be swatted away by this all-conquering Spanish side. Never mind parking the bus, Mourinho seemed to bring an entire fleet to sit in front of his goal all night long. Goran Pandev, a winger, had been replaced at the last minute with, surprise surprise, defender Christian Chivu. For the next 90 minutes, the Italian stood firm, with Ibrahimovic making way for Bojan on the hour mark, an idea that would be laughed at in this day and age. Gerard Piqué did have the Italians sweating with an 84th minute strike, especially considering they were down to 10 men after Thiago Motta had clawed Sergio Busquets in the face, and Bojan's last minute strike looked to have won it before it was ruled out for offside and the translator marched into the Champions League final. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.